today I'm going to be showing you my exact training split, which I run a augmented upper lower push pull legs type of split. And the reason why I love this split so much is it allows me to target multiple body parts multiple times during the week, increasing volume while keeping intensity just as high. Now, I have tried every single workout split there is out there. You know, I've tried the bro split, I've tried push-pull legs, and I find that this one fits my lifestyle the most and is the one has gotten me the most results as of recent. So when it comes to training days, the first and most important thing to consider is your diet, right? So right now I'm actually training while in Ramadan, which means I'm fasting for 13 plus hours a day. No water, no food, no carbs. This means that my muscles are quite depleted in terms of glycogen. So right before I go to train, I make sure that I shove as much glucose I can into my bloodstream. Right now, my favorite meal is white rice with chicken. My usual carb source is potato. But guys, when it comes to immediate glucose energy sources, white rice is the king. If you eat potatoes, it's quite satiating, so you might feel full longer. And if I'm eating at 6:45 p.m., I don't want to be full because when I come back from the gym, I need to eat protein. You also want to make sure that you hit at least 20 to 30 grams of animal protein in every single meal. This is so that you hit the leucine threshold. The leucine threshold is the amount of leucine required in a protein source for your body to activate muscle protein synthesis. So that's very complicated, but in basic terms, just make sure you get protein in every single meal. My first day of the week, Monday, I usually hit an upper body session. Now, these upper body sessions usually vary. Sometimes they can be chest focused, shoulder focused. Sometimes they can be, bicep focused. I run this upper body session to target the whole upper body while at the same time looking after certain body parts. If my chest is feeling a bit sore, if my shoulders are quite injured, I'll reduce the volume of that particular body part and maybe increase something else. Right now, I'm trying to increase my shoulders and my arms. So I run this split so that I can hit my shoulders and arms 3 times in a week. So on the day one, the first exercise I hit was bench press. Usually what I like to do is I like to run crazy intense set of 20 reps, 15 reps, 12 reps, 10 reps, 6 reps, 8 reps, 4 reps, 2 reps, all the way down. But in this session today, I did 5 sets of 5 because I felt that my energy was quite lacking from Ramadan. Why I opted to go less reps but heavier weight. The same principle when it comes to building muscle is progressive overload. That's so important. Micro overloading, maybe you increase the rep range, set number, maybe you change up the form, clean up the form. If you don't lift heavy ass weight when you train, you're not gonna grow. And the same is when you're going through a period like Ramadan where you're fasting or maybe you're cutting. You can actually limit the amount of muscle you lose in your cut by making sure that you hit heavy weight. The principle is if you don't use it, you lose it. Right? If you don't use the muscle, you're gonna lose it. So that's why glucose before your training session is so important. Without adequate amounts of carbohydrate before your session, you won't be able to push yourself as much, which means you won't be able to lift as much weight. In this session, that's why I opted for 5 sets of 5 on the bench press. Following the bench press, I went into bent over barbell row. These are king when it comes to overall back development. They hit your biceps, your traps, your lats. And then I also supersetted this with dips. With the dips, I made sure to hang my chest over my knees, right? And what this does is it helps me target my chest. I feel the stretch, I take it slow, and then I explode up. Once I feel that my chest is on fire, then I pump out maybe 5 to 8 reps. The following exercise after that was the barbell shoulder press. Now, as you guys can see here, I'm going very slow on the way down, and I'm holding the stretch, then I'm exploding up. I am a firm believer that holding the stretch is possibly the best way to build your muscle. Mechanical tension, that's where the most amount of growth happens. So lower the fucking weight, guys, control the rep, especially if you're doing a movement like barbell shoulder press, you're gonna place your deltoids in a vulnerable position. So you want to go nice and slow, control, hold the stretch, and then bust out a few reps at the end. Following this exercise in a superset, I actually did dumbbell pullovers. Now these are an excellent exercise when it comes to hitting your upper lats and some chest development as well, right? I focus again on the stretch. You guys will notice in my training routines, I always focus on the stretch. Here, I'm really feeling the stretch deep in my lats. I'm holding it for maybe a second and then I'm exploding back up. Now to bust out the end of the upper body session before I hit a bit of development, pull-ups. Okay, I also think these are a killer when it comes to just body weight, bumping out those last few reps that you can. Awesome way to get some back development in there. Then the last thing on the agenda for that day was biceps. So right now, my current favorite routine for biceps is I get on the incline bench and I'll hit hammer curls for that bicep peak. All the rep ranges in this workout were between 8 to 12, oftentimes with a superset or drop set included. Some common mistakes people make, right? So if you think about what muscle is, right? It's fibers, but they're actually highly elastic, right? So if you just rep out most of your reps, because the muscle is quite elastic, you'll actually decrease the amount of mechanical tension on the muscle itself because it'll bounce. So that's why the idea is when you contract, you go nice and slow out. That's why the idea is when you stretch the muscle, you hold it for as long as you can, right? And that's where the amount of growth is going to be in that stretch. The common mistake people make is they won't hold the stretch. Another common mistake people will have is maybe they hold the squeeze. Well, holding the squeeze feels phenomenal and it feels amazing. You get a nice pump. Actually, it's much better to hold the stretch. When it comes to recovery between your sets, I choose to keep my workouts intense, right? I keep the workouts intense. That's going to increase the pump. That's going to increase inflammation, which leads to more protein synthesis down the line. Post-workout nutrition, obviously on these days, I'm aiming for a lot of protein-heavy sources. Now, if you talk about carbs, for someone of my weight, which is 75 kilos, I need between 200 and 300 grams of protein to have an amount of energy I need. When it comes to protein, guys, here's what a lot of people get wrong. People tend to overconsume protein. What you need to realize is you're getting your information from people who are trying to be like bodybuilders and like the next Chris Bumstead. 99% of you are never going to step on bodybuilding stage. You do not need an extravagant amount of protein. You need enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, okay? And a good number I like to hit is between 1.3 to 1.6 per kilogram of body weight. For me, that's 120 grams of protein. Sometimes I'll stretch that to 180, 200, okay? And that's just in case there's a fluctuation in my diet, in case the next day I can't get enough protein. That's to be in the safe zone. But don't stress if you get less than 1.3. When it comes to fat, extremely important. Fats are super important because they are hormone regulators. In your endocrine system, one of the biggest components, precursors to any molecule, such as testosterone and many other steroid hormones, is actually cholesterol. You get cholesterol from fat. So if you don't have enough fat, you're going to run into problems with your hormones. The ideal number you want to hit is 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. So if I'm going to eat a high protein meal in the morning, like eggs and potato, right? And then before I hit the workout, I'm going to have rice and chicken. I want to make sure my dinner that night is high in protein and high in fats. Steaks, eggs, omega-3 fatty fish, salmon, perfect choices. Rest days. A rest day doesn't mean you sit in your ass and you do nothing, okay? A rest day is active recovery. Go for a walk, do shit. Make sure you get vitamin D, maybe go for a swim. On my rest days, I choose to do a little bit of cardio and then I get in the ice bath. When it comes to supplementation, guys, creatine, I've said it so many times in the past, creatine is an amazing supplement. It is the most researched supplement out there that you can find. It does a world of wonders to your physique. Essentially what it does is just draws water into the muscle, okay? If you study the energy cycle in terms of ATP, it helps facilitate the transfer of phosphate molecules back onto the ADP, turning it into ATP, which is then used for energy. While that's complicated, all you need to understand is that take your flipping creatine and drink plenty of water, because creatine works by bringing water into the muscle. If you do not have adequate amounts of water in your system, it's not going to work. By taking creatine, your muscles will feel fuller, they'll look bigger, you'll have better recovery, more explosive energy. So in the long run, it's just great for you. 5 grams a day is exactly what you need. Now on Tuesday, following my upper body session, it's only smart to hit lower body, right? Lower body is one of my favorite days to hit. And most people shy away from leg days. I don't. I think it's a great way to get some great work in. So I start my lower body days with back squats. I run 2 variations on my lower body days. Sometimes I'll hit intense volume. I'm talking 7, 8, 9 sets of squats. Today I also opted for 3 sets of 8 because I was feeling fatigued. I was feeling like I had no energy. So I knew that it was important that I lift as much weight as possible instead of getting junk volume, right? What you guys need to understand is this concept that you have a total workload capacity. Underneath this in the energy pyramid is you have your recovering ability, okay? And underneath that, you have the total amount of stress that you are going through. If you're going through a lot of stress in your life, or maybe you're not sleeping enough, or maybe your diet isn't up to par, then you need to reassess how much stress you're putting in your gym session, how much stress you're putting in your life. If you're a university student and you've got exams to do, or you have a big week at work, it's okay to scale down the volume in your gym routine, because that's going to allow you to be more consistent, recover, and then hit the next week just as perfect as you need it to be. So, like I said, I usually hit way more volume on my lower body workouts, but because it's Ramadan, I knew that my energy is low, I'm depleted, I opted to go for heavier weight and less reps to make sure I get the most amount of activation in my leg muscles. Following the back squats, I opted for one of my favorite exercises, the power clean. Now, as you guys know, I've got an athletic background, so the power clean is a great movement for overall strength in the posterior chain, your hamstrings, calves, backs, traps, right? But it's also explosive leg strength. Explosive leg movements like this are excellent for hypertrophy. While an advanced technique, once you master it, it's a great and fun way to spice up your leg sessions. Following the power clean, I opted for single leg lunges with the barbell. These king. You know, there's many options you can do for quads. You can do leg extensions, you know, you can do pistol squats. But I think if you get this right, if you hit this proper, the next day your quads are on fire. I promise you. Okay, single leg Bulgarian squats. Okay, and the last exercise for this lower body workout, stiff-legged deadlifts are a great way to place mechanical tension on the hamstrings. Like I said, the stretch is the most important. So much weight in your stiff-legged deadlifts. If you just take the eccentric portion of the movement slow, hold the stretch and explode up. Now, actually, interesting enough, after this cardio session, I hit a bit of cardio. I was on the row machine, then I hit some incline walking, you know. But it was crazy because this was a late night gym session and the whole gym was empty. The whole gym was empty, guys. But you know what was interesting? There was one other guy in the gym. He was one other guy in the gym, and while I was doing my cardio, he came up to me and he was actually in my school community, right? And that feeling that it gave me, like the whole gym was empty and there was these two hustlers in the gym, and he happened to be my school community. So if you are interested in joining a brotherhood of young people chasing their potential, chasing their dreams, guys, click the link below. I promise you it's exactly what you need. I'm talking character development, diet, training, social skills, everything that transformed my life for the last 5 years. Okay, doesn't need to take you 5 years. You only need a few months in that program. Okay, I'll catch you guys in there. My favorite cardio right now to do, and which I think is the easiest cardio to do, max incline on the treadmill, 6 kilometers per hour, 20 to 30 minutes. That's easy, 300, 400 calories burned. You do this every day, I promise you, you will get fucking shredded so quickly. The next day, after this session, which was a Wednesday, is shoulders and arms, shams, right? So what I like to do on my shoulders and arms day, because my shoulders might be feeling a bit fatigued from the upper body day that I did on Monday, I don't hit the barbell overhead press first. I actually go for the lateral raises first, pre-exhaust the muscle, and actually get plenty of blood flow in there. Once my shoulders are warm, a little bit fatigued, plenty of blood flow, I'll go for the shoulder press. And again, I'll aim for a good stretch. Following the shoulder press, I'll actually grab the dumbbells and I'll do my favorite Y flies. I call these the Y flies because you make a Y with your hands, but I find that these hit the rear delt amazing. Guys, try this exercise out. Okay, 3 sets, 4 sets, 10 to 12 reps. I promise you, your rear delts are gonna be on fire. You're gonna feel that. Now, on the upper body day, we hit biceps. So it's only normal on the shoulders and arms day that we hit the triceps. So for triceps here, I did a superset. The first exercise was dumbbell overhead press. Again, focusing on the stretch. I'm getting the dumbbell behind my head, and I'm really focusing on that stretch, and I'm exploding up. Okay, I superset that with cable single arm push downs. And this one, I'm actually focusing on the contraction. So I get best of both worlds. Focus on the stretch with the dumbbell, and with the cable, focus on the contraction. Now, after these 3 days of intense work, I actually schedule a rest day. On my rest day, I delegate it to, my normal life responsibilities, making sure I'm caught up to work, making sure, I'm sleeping enough, making sure housekeeping, house is clean, I've got groceries, normal shit. In the evening, I'll hit a bit of cardio again and maybe do some mobility. Very simple. But on these days, I can actually dial my carbohydrates back to about 150, 200. On those days, you don't need that much carbs because you're not training. So it's okay to dial the carbs back, invest a little bit more calories and proteins, okay? What you guys need to understand is that calories in versus calories out, I'm sick of that notion. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of calories in versus calories out. Calories in versus calories out will determine the number on the scale. That's about it. But your macronutrient makeup, your training intensity, and meal frequency, timing, will determine how you look, right? If you need more information and the specifics of diet and training, guys, click the link below to my school community. We've got a whole 10+ hour course content in there that you can learn exactly what you need to take your body to the next level.